compared to other people I know, my self-portrayal or who I identify as being is really, really inconsistent, and it's bothered me. I've sort of thought, oh God, who am I?
That was awful for me. Absolutely awful.
What, to have to keep the secrets?
Well, to get into trouble for sharing something with my best friend that was...
Yeah, that's what I mean, for not being able to say about it.
I can feel the emotion now.
Yeah.
My world felt ripped apart.
My go-to is self-criticism. And again, as a lot of people with ADHD have, it's that self-criticism after years of why am I rubbish at this compared to everybody else.
I've had a thought. Two thoughts, actually. One is... What's the... The thought has gone. Hold on. So the other thought is... No ADHD here.
Hi, I'm Nicky Ship.
And I'm Carrie Overton, and we're so excited to be sharing the ADHD Connection with you.
In each episode, we'll be talking about how our ADHD has impacted us over the last couple of weeks and using our skills as coaches to try and figure it out together.
So join us as we explore the ups, the downs, the highs and lows of living with ADHD, because let's be honest, one way or another, it's a pretty eventful journey. Hi, Nicky. How are you doing?
Hi, Carrie. I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
Well, we got here in the end.
Yes.
The classic moment that we've just had. So we record this podcast on a platform where you can see each other. So it's a bit like Zoom, but it's a special platform. And I can see Nicky and she can see me. Although in this instance, she couldn't see me because she accidentally had a Zoom tab open. And so she could hear me through her speakers because we were on the podcast platform and was like, I can't work out why I can't see you. And then realised that she was looking at Zoom. So here we are now.
I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm going to say, isn't that the perfect example of ADHD in its finest?
Yeah, too many tabs open.
So, what's been happening for you in the last couple of weeks, Gary?
Well, actually, I had a moment of realisation and sort of awareness that's been quite significant actually from watching, believe it or not, the Barbie movie. So have you seen it, Nicky?
No, I haven't seen the Barbie movie.
Okay, so you don't need to have seen it for sort of this to work, but there's a part in the Barbie movie where all the different Barbies, as there are in actual world, you know, there's sort of chemist Barbie and Dr. Barbie and pilot Barbie and, horse riding Barbie and all of these sorts of different Barbies. And in Barbie world, in the movie, they're all just called Barbie. So you go along, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, but they're all different, but they're all Barbie. And they meet somebody from the real world, in inverted commas, who goes into Barbie world and sort of says, well, who are you? There's so many of you. Which one of you is Barbie? And she just says, well, we're all Barbie. And it really struck a chord with me and made me think about identity. It made me think about masking particularly, and how much over my life I've masked so much, as many people do. And I think I've grown up looking at other people and thinking I've got to be like that, and I'm like that when I'm with them, but if I'm with other people I morph into what they're like. And I'm trying to sort of, I think it came from watching what's going on and thinking, I don't really know what's going on. I'm going to just look at other people and copy a bit. But it ended up being almost part of my personality. So that there are different facets to me, as there are to everybody. And I sometimes feel very confused about which one is me, because as just as an example, I'm really, as you know, into my sport. So there's a sort of very sporty me who is always out doing, down the gym or going for a run or riding my bike or doing whatever, playing some sort of sport. There's the part of me who loves to put on really smart, nice clothes and be dressed up and feeling like I'm in my role and being professional. There's a part of me that's this real laid back hippie who's quite happy sort of barefoot in my allotment, growing vegetables and feeling very free range.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that loves really glamming up and putting on a pair of high heels and putting loads of makeup on and, a nice sort of snazzy outfit and going out for a night looking really glam. And loads of other ones in between. And I feel sometimes, and this is maybe worth unpicking, but compared to other people I know who broadly fit into a sort of type, that's how they look, that's how they are, that's how they portray themselves consistently. My self-portrayal or who I identify as being is really, really inconsistent, and it's bothered me in the past. I've sort of thought, oh God, who am I? But when I went and saw the Barbie movie, and she said, we're all Barbie, and I sort of had this, oh my God, we're all Carrie. I can be sporty running Carrie, I can be glam Carrie, I can be professional Carrie, I can be all of these different ones, and they are all me. And that doesn't sort of unpick the masking element of it, but I found that really reassuring that actually they are all part of me. And so when I come back from the gym or a run in the morning and I'll jump in the shower, I found myself asking me, who am I today? and allowing that to be, rather than, and I've had some sort of, it's been good. It's been a positive. It's been a calming thing for me to think, oh, today, actually, I feel like girly Carrie, and I'm going to put on a nice, I've got a pink flowy dress on, and that's how I feel. But another time, who am I might be, oh, I'm still sporty Carrie today, so I'm going to put something else on. Does that make any sense at all?
Yes, it does make sense. And it's, I've got some thoughts, of course. I think what you were saying earlier on about the growing up and sort of morphing into different groups, I think that's, thinking about it and thinking about my clients, and me, I think that is something that we are uncomfortable about a lot of the time, because I get it. I get exactly what you're saying. I think my version of it. But also it's a strength, because it's flexibility, and you can go into a room and you can learn. I think what we do as ADHDers is that as kids, we don't feel like we fit in because we have an unerring capability of going in and interrupting and blurting out and being very evident. So we tend to stand out in ways that are not necessarily beneficial and ways that we'd like. And so we learn coping strategies, some of which are useful and some of which aren't. But so we have this almost desperate need to fit in and find our tribe and feel accepted and safe, I suppose, at the end of the day, whilst standing out, not necessarily for the right reasons.
And I also think possibly because of I know I'm interested in so many things that I could be talking to somebody about cabinet making, and I'll be like, oh, how does that work? How do you do that then? How does this work?
Yes.
And then
yes.
The next minute be interested in, oh, I don't know, somebody who sells marbles or, collects cats or something. I don't know. But
yes.
And I find it all quite interesting until I don't find it interesting and start zoning out. But I think that morphing comes. Do you think maybe extension of interest?
It could well be. I mean, my curiosity probably matches yours. It's one of the many things we have the centre of the Venn diagram we have in common. And I was just you just prompted a thought. One of my clients when I was a designer was a company that made, wait for it, lift door opening systems. So elevator door opening systems. So I happen to know that when I go into a lift, if there is a very high pitched whine, I can be safe in the knowledge that the doors are working and they won't shut on me, because that's the detectors. See, this is the sort of thrilling thing one learns.
Wow.
And actually, for quite some time, my job was to find a way of making that interesting visually. So, and actually, it was quite interesting. And I managed to get interested in lift doors. I think if you can get interested in that, you can pretty much get interested in anything.
That is a talent.
So, I wouldn't say I was excited, but I was interested. So, no, I get what you're saying. And it's about the curiosity. Interestingly, so I've heard that curiosity is the antidote to fear. Because it's very hard to be...
Say that again.
Curiosity is the antidote to fear. So it's very hard, and I'm going to shoot this down in flames in a second with something one of my clients said. But theoretically and generally, if you're curious about something, it's very hard to be scared. Now, one of my clients writes horror stories for kids. And he said, yes, but what about what's behind the locked door? You see? So, okay, all right. So I gave him that one. I said, okay, fair enough.
Oh, but hang on. I would say, without wanting to go down a little side path.
No, go on. Feel free. Let's go down the side path.
Actually, I think what's behind the locked door, curiosity then would make you open it and find out.
Yes.
If you weren't curious, you would run away.
Yes. So maybe the curiosity supersedes the fear. So it's possible to feel a bit scared, but then the curiosity either takes over or it doesn't. Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, so you've shot that one down in flames again. I'll go back to it. Okay, so we've got this need to fit in whilst we stand out. But I do think we learn flexibility and adaptability from that. Yeah. So you and I are both very much strengths-centred, I'd say, when we're working with people.
Yeah.
So for every challenge that we have as ADHDers, I mean, in life generally, but especially as ADHDers, because we have extra exciting challenges to deal with, then for everyone, there is the, I may have said this before, but there's the opposite is the balancing side of it. So it's creativity is distraction gone right. That's Ned Halliwell saying that. And it's so true, because creativity is like what happens when you're looking the other way. So if you, as a designer, I'd keep my left brain happy listening to the radio and or the television at the same time and whatever. And then on one occasion, my hubby at the time came home and found me with the football on the television, the cricket on the radio, and working at my drawing board in the living room. And he looked at me, and it was a long time ago, so he probably wouldn't have said it this way, but the effect was, what are you like?
Yeah.
But then it's that left brain being active, listening to the whatever it was listening to, and then my right brain could go off and be creative and, oh, what's happening there? And, oh, look at that. And, oh, I thought I was doing this, but, oh, I've gone over there now. So it's that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny though, because I can't do that. I can only concentrate on one thing at a time, which then means that my brain is interested in lots of things at the same time, but I can't take them all in. I can't process them all. So that's when I flit from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another, because I can't do them simultaneously. And then I sort of...
Oh, but I'm flitting too.
Right. So you can't have your attention on all of those things.
Oh, no, but it's the flitting between, and I'm aware it's a bit like you're in a restaurant, maybe with somebody boring or at a party, and standing there with your canapes and your glass of wine, and you're standing there listening to whoever's talking to you, and then there's another conversation going on that sounds a bit more interesting, really.
Oh, God, then I cannot listen to the person I'm talking to. Forget it.
Do you not have enough so that you can pay lip service?
Yeah, I've probably mastered the sort of noddy.
Oh, it's masking again then? A form of masking to bring it back?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be taking it in. And I can't choose which I listen to.
Ah, okay.
I can't sort of... my interest decides what I'm listening to.
Yes.
So I can't say, oh God, that's fascinating, but I'm going to zone that out because I've got to talk to the person about lift doors. I've left the lift doors and I'm there, and I can sort of think, oh God, no, concentrate on the lift doors. But I can't.
No, but at some point, I think at said party with a glass of wine, I think what you do is eventually you think, I'm not really can't do this anymore. So then you find, oh, I need to go to the loo or something. The escape hatch suddenly appears. But I think sometimes if you are pretty engaged, let's just pretend that it's not to do with lift doors, because I know they are the hub of the universe. So just for a moment, if it's something slightly more interesting and entertaining and exciting, say you were I don't know, you were semi-engaged, but there's another conversation that's also interesting, and this does happen when you've got friends at a dinner party.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
If they're having a conversation, you kind of, with our sort of mind, there's no way you're just going to focus completely on somebody when there's other distractions going on.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So again, I look on it again, I suppose, groanily as a strength, because you get both. You get your cake and eat it. In my case, I do tune in and out. And so when you were talking about flitting, I think what I do when I had the two forms of entertainment on and I was working, is I was flitting between whichever caught my attention. So I wasn't listening to both at the same time. I kind of flip. And I don't know whether this is something that I've learned from listening to the radio all these years, listening to talk radio, whatever it happens to be, the Beeb or something. And I don't know whether it's a skill or not. I've no idea.
No, it's an interesting one. I mean, it's certainly something that I struggle with and in fact, actually, while we're talking about parties and things like that, how are you with small talk? Because I hate small talk, and I can do it because I've trained myself to do it, but I avoid it at all costs because it's tedious. That's a bit brutal, isn't it?
Well, I would guesstimate, sticking my finger in the air and thinking of a number, that probably 85% of anybody who's listening to this would agree, because if not 100%, because probably the number one characteristic or determinant of somebody who's ADHD is, how are you with small talk? And we are so bored. And oh my God, I mean, that's a completely made up statistic, but it's just... I was watching a video a while ago on YouTube of a guy who's on the autistic side of things. And he was saying, I bet you think I'm ADHD. Well, I'm not. And I'm going to tell you some of the differences. And one of the differences was, and I've asked some ASD autistic friends of mine, and they agree with this, which is they don't understand what small talk is for. It doesn't make sense to them at all. But you say you can do it. They've had to learn to model it, whereas we can do it. We just don't want to.
Yeah, I don't. I would say, as somebody who is on the odd side of the ADHD, I would agree with that. I don't understand what it's for. It's functionally pointless, and I just don't. And actually, I say I can do it. I can do networking, which I loathe as well. But I can go to a networking event because I've trained myself. I mean, let's be honest, people at networking events really love talking about themselves. So you can just go along and just go, oh, tell me about what you do. And they go, well, I work in lift doors. And you then... But then off you go and you go, oh, that's so interesting. Tell me all about that and how long have you been doing it? And I've got the bank of questions. But where I find it really difficult is the hardest situation I find myself in is when you're with people that you know a bit.
Yes.
Or even or over a long period of time, but you're not really good friends with them.
Yes.
I just don't know what to say.
I'm squirming. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I've got this image. So you're walking down the high street of your local town,
Yeah.
and there's somebody you know quite well, but not that well,
Yeah.
and you bump into each other, and you almost go on separate sides, and you can see you're both making the decision whether you two actually... And then you say, oh, hello, how are you? And hopefully you can remember the name. If not, you just muddle through and hope that they'll give you a clue.
Yeah.
And if your partner's with you, that's even worse, because then you're supposed to introduce them and you can't think what their name is. So that's another story. But then you engage in some small talk, and you can't go into deep and meaningful. You know, you've only got however long. You don't know how long you've got, so there's uncertainty in there as well. And then how do you end it? Oh, I've got to get on because the dog's being groomed at 3:00 or something. Not that I have a dog, but... So
Yeah.
I get it. I get what you're saying. And I've got this squirmy feeling now. I can feel it. My shoulders are going up.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And yeah, I can see you. And inside me, in those situations, or like at parties where you are just doing the chit-chatty bit, I can feel myself thinking, how quickly can I get out of this? How quickly can I get away?
Yes.
Where's my exit? How can I go? You know, and I'm terrible for, I'm just going to go and, I must go and, or whatever, go to the loo, fill up my drink, hide somewhere so I don't have to talk to you.
I mean, obviously, we're both wonderful people, and everybody would be very lucky to have us in a conversation. We know that. Yeah. But that aside, they may well be thinking exactly the same thing. I mean, they might be riveted about the lift doors, of course. But yes, because that's all we ever talk about.
But I do feel anxious. I genuinely feel anxiety coming up.
Yeah.
I could see it in you.
Yeah, my hands were squeezing together at the I didn't. My shoulders are going up. I've got this triangle of my arms and my shoulders are going on. It's like...
But I wonder if that comes back to identity, in as much as, oh God, I've just got to be in this situation as me.
Nicely done.
But do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Who am I? And whereas, because in small talk, as I said, I can do hello, how are you? And if I know a little fact about you, how's your mum? Or I heard this, that, and the other about you, because there's a function to that.
Yes.
But then beyond that, I just don't know where to go. I don't even know how to start it. So that's where I make my excuse. I do it for this a little tiny bit, and then I will go, and then I'll probably go to the loo and sit and breathe deeply and think, oh God, what do I do? How do I go back in?
I've had a thought. Two thoughts, actually. One is, what's the... the thought has gone. Hold on. So the other thought is, no ADHD here. So I just written down, perhaps it's who should I be being?
What sort of being role as a...
Well, it's which Barbie, as to take it back to your thing.
Small talk Barbie.
Yes. I'll just pull her out of my quiver, Shazam. No, it's like, rather than who am I, it's like who should I be? I think the programme that we might have running is, from when we were kids, is you were saying about morphing and fitting in with people.
Yes,
so who should I be being in this situation? And actually, you and I... we don't BS, we're authentic. That's the whole point about us. That's why we coach the people we do, because they can sense that in us and it works well, and we have, a rapport with them because of that. And we're vulnerable and open and so on. And that, I think, is I think we share that strength. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. And it's that, I think that thing from when I was a kid, I remember, especially as a teenager, when all hell's breaking loose anyway, with hormones and everything, it's like, who should I be being? And I remember one girl, a lovely girl called Zoe at school. Zoe was lovely. And she said to me one day in the science lab, I remember it so well, and I'm now a lot older than 15, she said, are you okay, Nicky? And I said, yeah, I'm just a bit down today. And she said, what, you? Down? You don't get down, do you? And I looked at her and I went, yeah, of course I do. And she said, oh, I didn't know that. And it's because I was the class clown.
Yeah.
And that was my reinvented self. And frankly, when I was about 6, I moved around a lot as a kid, up and down the country. And it was very difficult for me. It was awful for my brother, who's on the autistic side of things. And I found it really difficult, so bless him. But I kind of had my little gang when I was in one place for about 9 months in the Newcastle area. And that was my way of coping. My dad was basically a bully, and I think I'd modelled myself on him. So I wasn't a bully as such, but I threw my little blonde curly-headed weight around. I was probably about 7. And when we moved, it was great because I could reinvent myself. I didn't like, and this ties in with your Barbie thing, is that I tried on, because I moved about every 6 to 12 months when I was a kid. I mean, from Windsor to Newcastle and back down again, and Portsmouth, and could have been the moon really when you're that old. You don't know how far things are, and the accents change, and you have to. It makes you good at learning accents quickly.
Yes.
And Geordie, and I remember not liking the way I'd been for that little phase, and even at my young age, thinking, "Oh, I don't really want to be like that." Okay, so what do I do about this? And reinventing myself and having the opportunity. So whilst it brought all sorts of challenges, moving around so much up and down the country, it was actually, looking back, it helps me. It's back we were talking about earlier about being flexible and adaptable. It does do that, but it also gave me the chance to settle by the time I was 12 at the last major school move. I stayed there till I was 18. So from the age of 12, basically my ID was the class clown. And in a hopefully funny way where they laughed along with me rather than at me, apart from a couple of notable occasions. And that sort of served me well. And I guess I still, up to a point, when I joined our choir, our chorus, I still use that. I don't use it quite so much now, but it was kind of my way in.
I think that's probably quite a common one. I certainly was also very much class clown, and also use humour as that deflective.
Yes.
It helps me avoid small talk.
Exactly.
And I also do it. And I mean, if you think of things that I've said at our chorus and things like that, I will often make a little throwaway remark or something because it just deflects.
Yeah.
And it's that. But yet we are both people who really love meaningful and purposeful conversation. And I think we've said before that I found it really hard to sort of settle into a new group because I find small talk really difficult. Whereas I kind of want to get past that and get stuck into the nitty gritty and feel I've got to know people. And so when you and I started having conversations, because we were, about coaching and things like that, that was sort of my routine. It's like, I've got one person now that I know. And maybe as well that the small element of small talk is going back to that focus and filter. There's lots of people sometimes when you're doing small talk, they're in sometimes it can be one-on-one, but if it's one-on-one, there's room to move it into something more purposeful if you have time.
Yes.
But if you're in just a sort of chitty chatty group, it just sort of goes on and it doesn't go anywhere. And I think, like I said, the function of that conversation then I don't understand. I'd rather sit in silence.
Yes. Well, if we're ever stuck like that, we can always I was going to say we can sit in silence together, but is that going to happen?
Yeah, well, no. But that's because we've gone beyond. Yes. We very quickly bypassed that stage and went into it. But linking back to the Barbie thing, and, I made a flippant joke about, I could be small talk Barbie. But actually, it links in with what you were saying about it being a skill. And maybe, as well as me accepting that I can be all of these Barbies, Carries, I can be all of them, they're all me. I could borrow the persona of small talk Barbie.
You can fit it on like a character part or something. Because we do use all sorts of different things in our life as strategies to cope with stuff, and we learn them. And mostly they're helpful. Some of them aren't. I was just thinking about the class clown thing, and the quips and so on. And I think it's not just a deflecting thing. It's a means of, how do I put this? Getting people to like us because they respond.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know.
For me, I don't know if that is it? Because I actually am also aware that it irritates some people who are quite serious, who sort of, it's a very superfluous thing. Why is this person always sort of making little jokes? For me, it is definitely I can't help myself. I just come out with things. I think I just see the funny side of things, and I like laughing. I like things being funny. So that's the way I tend to view most situations.
Yeah, I think the thing that was springing to mind for me was, I mean, I completely endorse what you've just said. Yes, that's the starting point. But it's like, you know, when we're very little and we try something and it seems to work, so we adopt that, and many people just carry on running that same program throughout their lives.
Yeah.
And it's becoming aware of what's going on that we use.
Yes.
Well, I think what might have happened when I reinvented myself when I was whatever age I was, 11, I'm guessing, was I'd been in a dark place because I'd had to leave my best friend in Portsmouth and move, and I wasn't allowed to tell anybody because of my dad's job, and that had repercussions. And so, of course, I told my best friend, who told her mother, who told the teacher at the parents' evening, who told my parents. And then I got into trouble, and that was awful. And there's one thing I can't forgive my parents for. It was for giving me grief about that, because it was awful for me, absolutely awful.
What, to have to keep the secret?
Well, to not be able to tell, to get into trouble for sharing something with my best friend that was...
Yeah, that's what I mean, for not being able to say about it.
I can feel the emotion now.
Yeah.
Being ripped away. My coach once said to me, that's strong language. I said, that's how it felt.
Right.
My world felt ripped apart. And where was I going with this? The emotions come up and flooded me. We were talking about... What were we talking about?
The opportunity, the ability to sort of just reinvent yourself.
Oh, yes, the class clown. So I think because I came from that place of upsetness, and then having to go to a new school again and a whole new bunch of kids and hormones starting and everything else, aged sort of 12, end of the first year of grammar school or secondary school, when everybody has already made their friends. It was tough. And the thing that got me through it was my friend, my best friend, who also started that day. She'd just moved up from Wales, South Wales. And so we were put together on the same desk, and we ended up as best friends, for 6 years or something. And that was my saviour. But I think it was almost like an equal opposite reaction, being the class clown. Yeah. And I think probably on one day I said something out loud that made people laugh, and I felt included, because I felt very excluded until that part, because of moving in when everybody had already teamed up with their buddies and so on. And so I think it certainly wasn't conscious, but I think it came from there. I wouldn't say people pleasing, but a way of helping to fit in. We're back to fitting in.
Yeah, that's really profound. And do you think that's just become how you deal with situations, and because you learned to navigate a situation successfully in that one context that you've used it?
I think so, yes. I think it's... I mean, I've always had a highly developed sense of the ridiculous, which I shared with my mum and other people in my life since subsequently. And it's that one partner of mine and I, we'd be laughing uproariously about something, and we'd giggling and not able to stop laughing. And we'd say to the other, why are we laughing? Why is this funny? And we couldn't answer it. It just was funny. And it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there are occasions where, and if it's me that's the butt of the ridiculousness, I laugh as much as anybody, in fact, probably more, if it's funny.
Yeah.
As long as people aren't laughing at me, they're laughing with me, that's very different. But it's that seeing the funny side in anything. It's very British, actually, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I think you're right. I think it can be something that brings people closer to you, because, I mean, I guess if you're somebody who is funny and laughing, the majority of people are going to be more drawn to you than if you're very, austere and, severe looking. But yet at the same time, I think that always, I'm not suggesting you do it always, but being somebody who does the one-liners, the banter, the sort of funny, can be a block to getting to know people better.
as a sort of distancing thing.
Yeah, I think it can. I can think of a context. I used to do amateur dramatics, and there was one guy in the group, and he very much had that sort of sense of humour as well. And all we ever did was banter. And I got to know him and his wife really, really, really well. But actually, we never really got beyond banter. And it became sort of, well, that's what we do. And sometimes I remember thinking, I wish we could stop this and sort of talk about other things.
Yeah.
So I think it's about maybe knowing how it serves us. I don't know, maybe that's over reading too much into it. How do we use our humour? Humour is part of my personality. It's who I am. I like to laugh. I like to joke with people. I like, with my husband, with my children, we laugh and joke a lot. Yeah. But I also know them really well and can have those conversations.
Yes.
So I don't think I do have people that I actively keep it at a distance, but maybe it does keep you on. Sometimes for some people, they do feel a bit removed from you because you, I don't know, make a little comment, make a little joke, and it distances you somehow.
I think also it depends on the recipient.
Yeah, maybe.
And as you said with your Amdram chap, it's the I think you said the severity. No, that too. No, the frequency. And if it's the odd comment, I think it's fine. And it's I wrote down earlier Spice Girls. So when you were talking about the sports, so you Sporty Spice,
yeah,
and then you've got Baby Spice, and whatever the others are. So Glam, what was her name? Victoria's name?
Oh yeah, Posh Spice.
Posh Spice. Well, there you are. You see. So when you get all glammed up and you go, yeah. So you've got Professional Spice, which is
yeah.
So and Jokey Spice. So it's but they make one team, and I've got this. I've written team, and I've written TA, which, as we know, is transactional analysis, which is a posh way of saying how people interact with each other. And when I talk to clients, I talk about the team that we've got running around in our head. So we've got, if you like, the adult or the whatever in the middle, who's like the judge and sitting there, or the conscious, sensible one. And then you've got the two parents, so the nurturing parent and the critical parent, both of whom can be very useful. So the nurturing parents, come on, you've done all that. It's time to sit down, put your feet up, have a bit of a rest. And then you've got the critical parent saying, okay, you've had a rest now. Okay, is that long enough? Is it time we did something else? So you can use them. They're not just there to nag you. They can be used or support you.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got bolshy teenager. Doesn't really need much more. And that can be very useful if you're not getting anywhere with a call centre. But a dash of bolshy teenager can be very useful. And vulnerable child that's 5 years old in their little shoes and socks, and they're feeling very sad and I don't know what to do here and uncertain. And then you've got free child who's skipping through puddles and blowing bubbles and being happy and stuff. And there may be many others, but they're this sort of core team that we've got going on in our head. And it's learning, I've found that it's learning how to use those in a productive fashion and knowing which one's going on at any particular time.
Well, and I guess then that's which Barbies are going to be useful for me today.
Yes.
And it is sort of another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And I think it was just for me that sort of being able to stop and identify that all the different Barbies are me. And that's not a bad thing, because I think my go-to is self-criticism. And again, as a lot of people with ADHD have, it's that self-criticism after years of why am I rubbish at this compared to everybody else? That feeling that you have, why can't I do this? Why can't I organise this? Why is everyone else finding this so easy? Did I miss the day of school when they talked about this? And so rather than thinking of all my Barbies as different aspects of my personality, which meant that I don't know who I am, it's that they are all me. They're all just different parts of me, depending on how I feel that day. And to be able to celebrate that.
Yes.
That part of my personality is that I feel different days, and that's okay.
And that makes you and I like to think me, the interesting, rich, flexible, adaptable, challenging, funny, fun, whatever we are. Sorry, that all sounds a bit arrogant, but it's true.
Yeah.
Those are traits that we have at least some of the time. And it's you being that rich person, that's why I'm sitting here with you, because you are that person.
Well, exactly. That's why we're friends, and that's why we get on so well.
And on that note...
It's been great talking to you again, as always.
Thank you, Carrie. And we'll catch up, in a couple of weeks?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the ADHD Connection. As we're just starting out, it would really help if you spread the word to anyone else who might like to listen. So please could you click to subscribe, leave a review on your usual podcast app, especially Apple, Spotify, Google or YouTube. And of course, we'd love you to like and share it. If you want to find out more about us, our websites are in the show notes. And thanks again. We're looking forward to being back with you in a couple of weeks.